Yesterday, at a rally in Phoenix, Arizona, America Fest, President Trump alluded to taking back the Panama Canal. I might add, not a bad idea. Going back to my days at Judicial Watch, which I founded in 1994, and thereafter, we actually brought a lawsuit to prevent the Panama Canal from being given to the Panamanian government under the circumstances that it was then going to be taken in control by the communist Chinese. I actually went to Panama. We actually had a bulletproof car because that wasn't a popular position at the time. I went with Howard Phillips. I was standing on the banks of the Panama Canal when it was turned over by Jimmy Carter, and he was looking at me sideways. He knew who I was. And the fact is that immediately when that canal was turned over, the rights of American workers in that canal zone were lost. That was the basis. Also, a plaintiff was Congressman Bob Barr, my colleague and friend who I worked with to impeach Bill Clinton. And standing to my right was the son of the former dictator, Omar Torrijos, who later became president of Panama. Interesting days. But the bottom line is that once that canal was turned over, the Chinese took control. They don't own the canal, but they can control it. And they can cut off egress and ingress between the Atlantic and Pacific, a national security issue. America had always thought, the United States, that we would build another canal through Nicaragua. We never did that. This is the only canal that we have. Now, apparently, the Chinese are not just posing a great threat to the United States in terms of the potential for getting into a war with China and being able to move our ships between the two seas, but they're overcharging for moving through the canal, ripping us off, as President Trump said. Consequently, he gave an ultimatum to Panama: turn it back unless you make it reasonable and lessen Chinese control and reduce the fees to pass through the canal. It's an interesting story. I want you to go to freedomwatchusa.org and sign up for our Justice League. These are the kinds of things that we now do at Freedom Watch, but also I write about it in my book, Whores, Why and How I Came to Fight the Establishment. An interesting page in history that Larry Klayman was there on the day the canal was turned over. And in fact, that lawsuit, ultimately, I went in front of a federal judge in Washington, D.C., and he said, Mr. Klayman, your argument most likely has merit, but I'm not going to enjoin that canal from being turned over because I'll cause an international incident. And I said to this cowardly judge, Your Honor, that's not your role to decide whether it would cause an international incident. It's your role to obey the law. We then took it up to the D.C. Circuit, the appellate court. They also didn't have the guts to do anything. And then we went to the Supreme Court, all the way up with a writ of certiorari and mandamus. And literally, we were driving to the Supreme Court on the morning that it was nearly turned over. It was ruled upon that it should be turned over by the Supreme Court, in effect, betraying the people of the United States yet again. We must stand up for ourselves, and that's what we stand for at Freedom Watch. We are your Justice Department. Larry Klayman is your lawyer. You are our superheroes. We must band together with President Trump to take these strong actions. We cannot allow the Chinese to control the Panama Canal, particularly during these perilous times, and overcharging us and preventing our right of going through the canal from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. This is the interesting story for today. It's more an interesting story. We will be working on this issue, hopefully with President Trump in the future. It's an important one. In fact, President Reagan partially won as president, taking the position that the canal should never have been turned over. Of course, that was not what came to be. God bless you. God bless your family. God save America. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. We are your real Justice Department. We need your strong support to succeed. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast.